On this episode of MythBusters, a blast from the past. As Adam and Jamie hit the history books.
There will be a lot of fire, and I could get burned.
To explore an explosive myth from the Civil War.
Wow!
Did the Confederate Army build the world's first long-range missile?
In 3, 2, 1.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman.
This is gonna kill you.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
That's what I'm talking about!
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
This one, I've been waiting for 3 whole years to make this one finally happen on the show.
It's got danger, gunpowder, so I'm all for it.
All right, so the myth is that late in the Civil War, the Confederate Army actually built, aimed, and launched a 2-stage rocket from Richmond, Virginia to Washington, D.C., almost 100 miles. Observers claim to have watched this rocket roar skyward, drop its first stage, and disappear from sight. Oh, yes.
It's a myth of ballistic proportions. The American Civil War was mostly slugged out with rifles and cannons. But did the Confederates have a secret weapon? Could they really have built the world's first long-range missile? The MythBusters and the build team are going to join forces to find out.
So where should we start with this?
Well, I think we can only begin with an examination of exactly what the state of the art of rocketry was, if any, at the time this myth is supposed to have happened, roughly 1865.
So what you're getting at is that we need to get a bunch of plans for these rockets, build them, and see how well they actually worked.
Shoot them off, see what they're capable of.
Okay.
First, before attempting to make the mythical 100-mile missile, the MythBusters are building short-range rockets that were used in the Civil War. When complete, they'll launch them to learn whether the long-range Confederate rocket is even plausible. But so far, this build isn't exactly a walk in the park.
6th. So, 6th larger, that's...
With plans dating back over a century, this one is proving to be a bit of a brain drain.
2.3...
Until finally, Jamie gets some inspiration.
I'm building a replica of what is known as the Hale rocket, and that type of rocket is generally acknowledged as the state of the art in the Civil War era.
State of the art because over its 2,000-yard range, it had a hint of accuracy, brought about by tail fins that caused it to spiral through the air. Armed with dusty plans from the Smithsonian, Jamie sets his sights high. But in case Hale falls flat, Adam's building another retro rocket. And his, like the myth, is a 2-stager.
The Boxer rocket is actually a rescue rocket. It was made to fire from one boat to another or from the shore to a boat in need of rescue, carrying a line so that that boat could be pulled to safety.
The Boxer rocket's initial thrust came from the first stage. As that burnt out, it fell away, and the second stage fired up and carried the rope over 300 feet to the sinking ship. But for Adam, it's not all plain sailing, because no one seems to have built one for over 100 years.
I have no idea if this is going to work.
While the Boxer makes progress, the Hale is out for the count, because Jamie's made an error of schoolboy proportions. And to avoid public humiliation,
You know, if I don't talk, you don't get any good TV.
he's run away from the cameraman.
What happened?
Nothing.
Denial is a river in Africa.
Come on.
What happened? Did you accidentally weld the thing at the end of your pipe that was supposed to be a screw fitting?
Overzealous welding has sealed his rocket shut, and he's not happy.
We've had about like a couple of hours of playing around with the thing, and that's not interesting, but somehow when we screw up, everybody's all over it.
While a sulking Jamie has to start from scratch, Tori's busy building the Civil War rocket launcher.
It's a pretty simple design. It's just a channel that we're going to load the rockets into, and it's got 2 legs that support it in the front, and it also allows the angle to change. They're adjustable, so we can have different, angles of trajectory.
Time for a test, albeit with a flimsy firework.
I'm not really sure what this one's going to do. It might scream, it might explode, but okay. You know what, the rocket followed the channel perfectly and it sent it in the right angle. I just hope it's sturdy enough for the big rockets.
I know, that's gonna be a lot of thrust.
I got some more rockets, so maybe we should light off a couple more.
Yeah, like a couple at once.
Yeah.
While Pyro Tori gets his kicks, Adam's made a find that changes the Boxer and maybe the mythical rocket too.
Upon doing some more research, it turns out that nobody's ever seen one of these rockets. No one's seen one in a long time. No one's got one. No one builds them. So there has been some confusion as to whether or not it was a true 2-stage rocket or a compound rocket. And it turns out that it's a compound rocket. And indeed, it does not separate in the middle halfway through its ignition.
So the Boxer is not a true 2-stage rocket. The sections don't split, they simply burn through each other. The idea that the mythical Confederate rocket was a 2-stage must now be in doubt. As Adam puts the finishing touches to the Boxer, Jamie's come out of his corner fighting and is already attaching those revolutionary tail fins that spun the Hale rocket for accuracy.
There was a price to pay to make these spin. Even with this clever design, it actually reduced the total range of the rocket.
Range doesn't mean crap if it can't be accurate.
Yeah.
I'll take accuracy over range any day.
And that's the same conclusion as Mr. Hale drew.
I'm fairly happy with this. It's not a polished, shiny thing, but it looks like it means business.
At last, the rockets are ready. They just need the gunpowder fuel.
There we run into kind of a problem. I mean, first of all, it's illegal for you and I to pack black powder ourselves. But secondly, the pressures they packed these rockets under was really just monstrous, and that makes it even more dangerous.
Sounds like we need to get our old buddy Eric Gates.
Yeah, I think we should call Eric, and I think rather than go with black powder, we should ask Eric to supply us with some modern equivalent motors that replicate the amount of thrust and burn time of these Civil War era rockets.
Civil War rockets, but modern fuel. And for the imminent launch, the team head for the hills. The MythBusters have built rockets that date back to the Civil War. They're going to launch them in the desert to help them learn how to build the mythical Confederate rocket, rumored to have a range of 120 miles.
We're here in the Mojave Desert at the Cohen Dry Lake Bed near Edwards Air Force Base, and we're about to test the authentically recreated Civil War era rockets.
Authentically recreated, but because of state laws, contemporarily fueled, thanks to the rocket expertise of their honorary MythBuster, Eric Gates.
When the countdown goes, these rocket motors are going to burn for 4.
Eric has already helped show that an ancient Chinese entrepreneur failed to get into orbit. And can you do a full 360 on a swing? Well, only if you've got someone like Eric there to help. Today, the cool of the van has become Civil War mission control.
I got something to show you guys. This right here is my Boxer rocket.
Adam's as proud as a new father. And like a new baby, the rocket first gets weighed.
All right, so 8.4 pounds for this thing.
And measured.
Diameter of the rocket is 3 inches.
This data is then fed into a computer simulation to see whether the rocket stands a chance of flying.
Okay, I've put a little set of fins on here to simulate the stick, and it looks like it's going to be stable. Let's try a motor.
Let's put a K550 in it to start out.
K550 it is.
The computer's fully primed.
Go.
Flight path, perfect. Range, 20,000 feet.
Remember, these are really rough simulations because your nozzle is not the same as what comes with the motor. So these could be greatly off, but hopefully they're going to be fairly accurate predictions.
Jamie's 20-pound rocket is historically more reliable than Adam's. So what does the accurate computer make of it?
See, right now it's doing about 500 feet and about 50 feet up, 60 feet up.
That's not quite the spinning that the Hale rocket was famed for. As launch looms, the rockets are ready to be fueled up with ammonium perchlorate motors. These modern motors are the most advanced in amateur rocketry and may be a little more powerful than Civil War black powder. But as they wrap them to ensure a snug fit in the rockets, Adam and Jamie are wondering if the main myth has historical authenticity, or is it just another tall tale?
Well, you know, now you can find references to the Civil War rocket all over the web, and they're saying that the rocket was about 12 feet long and it carried a 10-pound gunpowder warhead.
Well, the tale first showed up in 1958 in a Southern newspaper written by a Vienna correspondent signing only as C.R. Johnson.
Well, our researchers were unable to find C.R. Johnson or the article.
The myth may be nothing more than a mirage. But in this desert, it's T-minus 60 seconds for the Hale rocket.
We built this according to official plans and specs of the period, and if it worked then, it ought to work now.
What does our percentage maestro think?
70% chance the thing spins out, ends up about 200 feet away. 29% chance that it actually flies totally successfully and ends up 3,000 feet away. There's a 1% chance that it hits the ground and bounces right over to us.
And with those words of wisdom, it's the bit now with the countdown.
3, 2, 1, go.
She's up and away.
Congratulations, Jake.
Wow, easily done, brother.
I was afraid that it was going to loop, but then it just got the spin. When the spin's what keeps it going straight, that was great.
Those revolutionary Hale tail fins did the trick and kept the rocket on a computer-defying perfect arc.
See it actually go and work, especially kind of having you on the edge of your seat as you're watching it go, and then it just kind of homes in and does its job. It was cool. It's cool design.
One down, one to go.
I got a boxer rocket, and I'm gonna fire it.
Complete with its rescue rope.
You're ready to rock and roll.
Is that it?
That's it.
Is that it?
That is it. Next, you push the button.
Light some rockets! In 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
We have liftoff.
You guys all clear?
That is cool!
It looks like they knew what they were doing back there in the 1800s.
They might have known what they were doing.
Yeah, look good.
Ain't that the truth? Another near-perfect flight. The rescue rope didn't fare so well, but at least the drowning sailors would have had a spectacle to behold. Adam and Jamie's next task is to build the long-range rocket of the myth. So first, they'll need to find out how far their non-mythical missiles flew.
I don't know, but I think that's one of the rockets, and judging by the size of the hole, I think it's mine. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can feel the end of it. Oh, I'm still not touching anything.
Oh, backhoe time.
Like a miner in the gold rush, Jamie starts digging. And the lighter boxer rocket? Well, 500 yards further on.
That's where it landed. I'm just terrible at judging distance from here, but I'd say it's at least 1.5 miles. I'm gonna pace it out. Calculating each of my steps is about 1 yard, and we'll see where I get to.
As Adam measures his flight path, Janie has at last struck gold.
There she is. We got the end clearly exposed, and I think we should be able to tug it out with the come along pretty well. So
The heavy hail flew half as far and went over 5 feet into the ground. Soft to crash land in, tiring to measure.
1,317 yards. I'm tired.
The MythBusters have successfully launched rockets that haven't been seen for 80 years. But now, they've got to use what they learned to build the mythical 100-mile range Confederate rocket.
well, now we have a pretty good idea of what the standard kind of rocket that was used in the Civil War era is capable of. And I got to say, we've got our work cut out for us as far as this mythical rocket, because there's just not a whole lot of information about what it was.
Well, you know, we start with what we've got. I mean, they say it was a liquid-fueled rocket, so we should talk to somebody about what kind of technologies that would make a liquid-fueled rocket they had available at the time.
Liquid fuel? Well, that is what NASA uses. Of course, they had their teething problems too. But surely this technology is light years ahead of the Confederates. If only we had a rocket scientist.
Hello. How you doing, guys?
Nice to meet you.
So you're like a rocket scientist, right?
Yeah, exactly. I teach the rocket propulsion class at San Diego State, and I launch my own rockets.
Does being a rocket scientist help you pick up chicks?
Unfortunately, in the rocket science world, there's not that many women, and they're hunted to extinction.
Hunted to extinction. So, have you heard this myth that the Confederate Army actually built a liquid-fueled rocket that they fired from Virginia to Washington, D.C.?
It was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. People were doing all kinds of crazy things with steam engines and steamboats. I suppose it's possible.
What's not possible is to understand the ensuing discussion. But eventually they thrashed out the characteristics of a plausible Civil War-era two-stage rocket, powered by ethanol and liquid oxygen. And they unearthed some interesting new data.
This myth was supposedly made possible by Lord Kelvin, who was persuaded to make liquid oxygen 12 years before it is generally accepted that this first occurred.
Apparently, German physicist Ernst Mach contributed a small turbine and a gyroscopic stabilizer.
The rocket was launched from a hole in a riverbank that was lined with a tube made from naval cannons.
So here are the likely ingredients. Lord Kelvin's liquid oxygen made the rocket fuel burn. Ernst Mach's gyros gave it stability. A cannon provided the trajectory. And gun cotton made it explode out of the barrel. But what was the fuel? It could have been ethanol, made since ancient times by fermenting sugar. And it is used as a fuel. In today's environmentally conscious age, clean-burning ethanol is widely used as an additive to reduce gasoline emissions. Clean and green was not the aim of the Nazis when they invented their ethanol-fueled V-2 rockets. It was an oil shortage that drove their search for an alcohol-based rocket fuel. Nonetheless, the V-2 suggests that moonshine could have been used in the Confederate rocket. Next, it's Lord Kelvin's Big O. Liquid oxygen is needed as the fuel oxidizer. Without it, the ethanol will burn only gently. But when it's added, the fuel is fully oxidized and virtually explodes, causing a massive amount of thrust. And it's down to Grant to make it.
Well, I'm going to replicate Joseph Priestley's landmark experiment of the late 1700s, where he actually discovered oxygen using mercuric oxide, liquid mercury, a magnifying glass, and the sun.
Before making liquid oxygen, he first has to produce oxygen gas by focusing the heat of the sun onto mercuric oxide.
Now for the sun.
As it heats up, oxygen gas should bubble up into the test tube.
Hey, it's bubbling. Tiny, but still bubbling.
It's working, but he's going to be here a while longer yet. And when he's got enough, like Lord Kelvin, Grant's got to liquefy it. Meanwhile, because the mythical rocket was fired from a naval cannon, Carrie's gone to the fort.
So Jamie and Adam need to know what size the cannons were during the Civil War. So I've come here to Fort Point to do some measuring of cannons and find out.
These measurements are key to the MythBusters missile because there's no written record of the dimensions of the Confederate rocket.
All right, that's 11-foot length.
Adam and Jamie do know that it was fired from a cannon. So if Carrie measures the biggest cannons from the Civil War,
10 inches?
Then the MythBusters can build the biggest rocket possible. And they'll also have a launch tube they can replicate.
9 foot 2 inches.
It's another ingredient ready. Launch tube cannon, check. But the MythBusters have made a worrying discovery about Lord Kelvin.
Well, Adam, as the myth suggests, William Thompson, aka Lord Kelvin, did in fact live during the Civil War era, but he never claimed to have made liquid oxygen.
And we're supposed to believe someone whose name was Thompson but went around saying he was Lord Kelvin? That's Lord Kelvin to you?
Yeah.
But in 1852, he did observe that gas expanding in a vacuum decreased in temperature.
And that discovery, in turn, made it possible in 1877 for two French scientists, Piquet and Calitet, I believe it was, to, in fact, achieve making liquid oxygen.
Yeah, but their success was only making the tiniest little vapor of liquid oxygen for just a few seconds. Industrial quantities were not remotely available until the 1890s and really until the 1900s.
Well, that explains why Grant's been struggling so. Using Civil War technology, he's been trying to put his oxygen gas under so much pressure that it turns into liquid.
That doesn't sound like 80 PSI.
But whatever he tries, just ain't working.
I got a problem with this here cylinder.
And that's because M5, like the Civil War times, is just too warm.
As it turns out, is actually a critical temperature above which you can't liquefy oxygen. It just simply won't happen. That temperature is minus 118.6 degrees Celsius. And unfortunately, in Civil War times, they didn't possess the technology to make anything nearly that cold.
And without the liquid oxygen, the Confederate rocket myth is looking busted. In the American Civil War, did the Confederate Army fire a long-range missile? The MythBusters are trying to find out. But Grant has just failed to make a vital rocket ingredient.
Well, you know, Grant's results make it pretty clear that they just did not have the ability to liquefy oxygen during the Civil War, which for us rules out the possibility of a liquid-fueled rocket that uses liquid fuel and a liquid oxidizer. I don't really know where we go from here.
Well, I do. And, you know, I've been doing some reading on this. I think the design we should use is called a hybrid. The fuel is wax. The oxidizer that we would use would be nitrous oxide. The design doesn't involve any really complicated moving parts or anything.
Number one, all those materials sound really safe to work with. And number two, the technology for all of them was available during the Civil War. That sounds like a perfect solution.
So it's Plan B, a hybrid Confederate rocket. Lord Kelvin's liquid oxygen replaced with liquid nitrous oxide, and the ethanol fuel by solid paraffin wax. It's the last chance for this myth. And it all depends on whether making liquid nitrous oxide using Civil War technology is even possible. So Grant gets another bite at the cherry, but this time, in an extreme case of please don't try this at home, the recipe has been censored.
The plan here is to heat up with that will actually produce a gas. We're going to run those through and at the other end should come out nitrous oxide.
So Grant adds some moo with some meow and starts heating. With the temperature creeping higher, the gas starts to bubble out. And Adam can't resist having a sniff.
That burns!
As Adam recovers, more gas bubbles through. But is it nitrous oxide? Or, to use its common name, laughing gas?
Nitrous oxide is more plausible as an oxidizer. Nitrous oxide is more... Okay. Nitrous oxide is more...
They've clearly made laughing gas. But what is he trying to say?
Nitrous oxide is more plausible as an oxidizer during the Civil War than oxygen because the pressure that you need is a lot less. You're looking at 50 atmospheres for nitrous oxide versus 400 for oxygen.
So nitrous oxide needs less pressure to be liquefied, and better still, it can be done at room temperature. A time-saving, shop-bought bottle later, and the Confederate hybrid rocket can really happen. But with one final alteration. Adam's boxer rocket, like that of the Myth, was described as a two-stager. But further research proved otherwise.
And it turns out that it's a compound rocket, and indeed, it does not separate in the middle halfway through its ignition.
Given that the launch was so successful, they're going to make their mythical rocket a one-stager as well. The final design is set. The rocket will be the size of the biggest cannon carry found at the fort. At the top, there'll be a tank full of liquid nitrous oxide joined via a release valve to a tank filled with paraffin wax. Upon ignition, the burning gases will burst out through a graphite nozzle. So, first things first, Jamie goes 21st century shopping for some 19th century parts. He's looking for some metal piping that Civil War rocketeers might have found at their local suppliers. They're going to make their best effort and then test it in the shop before trying to make it fly in the desert.
I'm making the nitrous oxide tank for the rocket. We're using common steel plumbing pipe and fittings because that's easy and quick for us, and it's not too dissimilar from what they might have had at the time.
Meanwhile, Adam's cooking up the new fuel, the paraffin wax with carbon added for an even burn. After it solidifies, it should fit perfectly inside the rocket.
No leaking.
As the testing draws nearer, for safety, the team need a rocket-resistant bunker, also known as a shipping container.
Okay, we're in.
Perfect.
Perfect parking, but how bomb-proof is the bunker?
There we go. Woo! Uh-oh.
Not very.
A lot of daylight coming through the roof.
They've bought a holy rust bucket.
Who cut the budget on the bunker? Like, this seems like something you'd spend the extra cash on.
Yeah, when you got lives at stake.
Is that a wasp nest?
Yeah.
Sweet.
To top it off, there's wasps. But not for long.
Oh, shoot, that was cool. Set a bomb off in there, the whole roof might go up. So I gotta redo the roof. I still gotta get the ventilation in. I gotta get the cinder blocks in. I gotta sweep this thing out. I mean, thing's a mess. But hey, we're gonna have a bunker.
As Tori slowly makes it blast-proof, the MythBusters have dug up some more mythical musings.
What factoids do you have for us today, JB?
The myth specifically states that the launch took place near Richmond in March of 1865 and was witnessed by Jefferson Davis, who was the president of the Confederate States of America.
Now, there is an element of truth to this story. Jefferson Davis was, in fact, in Richmond around March of 1865.
Well, the problem is that there is actually a very good record of every day of Jefferson Davis's activity during the month of March, and there is no mention whatever of any kind of a two-stage rocket.
But maybe it was a secret launch.
Well, there's always that.
It's no secret that Torrey's bunker is becoming ever more beefed up. And as launch nears, Adam's rocket fuel is all set.
All right, well, the wax is cured overnight. Let's see what it did. Oh, yeah!
It's worked perfectly.
Yeah, I'm proud.
And will it fit? Of course. But there's no rest for the wicked. Jamie gets on with sealing the rocket, but is slightly alarmed at how simple it all seems to be.
It doesn't make any sense that it should be this easy. This is some laughing gas and some plumbing fixtures. And if it actually goes someplace, that's kind of scary.
The MythBusters are not used to things being so painless. But let's not forget, it's not even passed its test yet.
Well, there she is. Tank's sealed. We have the ignition valve in place. We have the combustion chamber.
They're just waiting for the graphite nozzle. Graphite was the only thing available during the Civil War that could handle the crazy heat that the rocket's combustion generates.
Oh, that's a rocket. Oh, I'm totally psyched about that.
She's fully primed. With countdown just around the corner, it's time to take her to the bunker. The MythBusters are preparing to batten down the hatches in preparation for a big boom test. They've built their own Confederate rocket out of Civil War-era technologies. And because the desert is a long way to drive to find out the motor doesn't work, they're about to try it in a bunker in their shop. For safety, Adam secures the rocket so it will burn but not launch. And Jamie sets up some ventilation in case it's more of a smoke bomb. With everything ready, they're on to the final checks, starting with the quick release, the valve that will open the nitrous oxide to the fuel.
Okay, go ahead and pull. Cool.
Check. Next test is the ignition.
All right, Jamie, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, and 3, 2, 1.
Smoking smells like, there we go.
Check.
Yeah, that took a second.
It's time to vacate the bunker because the Confederate rocket is going to get fired. They're going to fill the top half of the rocket with liquid nitrous oxide, ignite the wax, and then open the quick release valve.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
The nitrous oxide tank should be filling up, but no one is quite sure whether it's working.
I saw something drip.
It's dripping out of the quick release.
Oh, okay.
So that's actually a good sign.
Okay, well, let's kind of stand away from there, guys.
We're getting liquid nitrous oxide. Woo!
But 15 minutes later, and the tank is still filling up.
Yeah, this is where the danger zone happens. When nothing happens for a while, everyone's like, well, let's get closer. Let's get closer. Let's get closer. Boom! And everyone's dead.
Do you want to just go for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
They're just going to go for it. But for safety reasons, Jamie must first disconnect the nitrous oxide filler tank.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I knew I was going to do that.
Next time you should say that there might be a large kaboosh. Because, like, my heart's beating like 500 times a minute right now.
Those with a weak heart or a nervous disposition should look away now, because it's test time.
Okay, I'm in place, Adam.
Fire in the hole. So 3, 2, fans, go.
We clearly have ignition. But what the hell's going on in there? Not so much fire in the hole as fire in the whole shop. The MythBusters fire team have their work cut out. And what on earth must the neighbors think? There's more smoke than a year's worth of cigars. With the fire under control, the team decide to evacuate in case the gas is toxic.
Hey, that worked! I called 3, 2, fans, go. I pushed the igniter, Jamie pulled the fuel release, and I heard the thing catch. I heard it go, choo, go, boo, woo. I mean, just like exactly the way all the footage we've seen of liquid-fueled rockets going should sound. It put out a diabolical fireball outside the thing. It looks like it melted the ballistic glass. I mean, I can't wait to actually see the kind of damage it did in there.
As the smoke begins to clear, the damage is getting easier to see. Their hybrid rocket has turned M5 into a scene of apocalyptic proportions.
It's a testament to the size of the fireball and the heat that came out, what happened to my hovercraft.
If it did that to the hovercraft, what was going on inside the bunker? Well, the heat was so great that the cameras only filmed a giant fireball. Until, that is, they melted.
You know, I don't mind saying that I'm suffering the sin of pride here just a little bit. I mean, no one can dispute that through our ingenuity, we have achieved a hybrid rocket in 2 days with just a bunch of plumbing parts.
You mean we've achieved a hybrid rocket engine and system. We still have yet to put it in a sleek rocket-like exterior and build the cannon to fire it out of.
Exactly, and there's also the problem of tackling this mythical gyroscopic stabilizing system that the myth states. So I'll tackle the gyroscopic stabilizer. You want to take on the body and the nose cone?
Okay.
After some celebratory ego massaging, the down-to-earth work continues. For the final refinements, Adam's making the stabilizing system that gives the rocket a smooth and accurate flight path. But steam-powered, this ain't.
We looked at a lot of different ways to add gyroscopic stabilization to this thing, and we settled on the design that Hale used when he designed the Hale rocket, which was fins that affected the exhaust of the rocket only, but that exhaust being made to be rotational added a rotational stability to the rocket itself. So we've tried to do the same thing with ours on a much larger scale.
Ernst Mach and his gyro join Lord Kelvin and his liquid oxygen in the busted bin. Meanwhile, Jamie is making a more efficient string-pulled release valve to let the liquid nitrous oxide into the fuel tank. For the test, he was standing right next to the bunker. For the launch, he wants to be a bit further away.
It's important that I not be very close to the rocket when the nitrous oxide is dumped into the combustion chamber when it's lit, because there will be a lot of fire and I could get burned.
With the quick release ready and working, Jamie's routed round the shop and come up with a naval cannon launching tube.
Okay.
It's this pipe that the rocket will be propelled out of, courtesy of the Myth's Civil War gun cotton.
Carrie Elizabeth Byron?
Yes.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to make us some gun cotton.
Great. What is it?
Well,
I don't
it's
know.
some kind of cotton.
Yeah.
And it's probably got some nasty chemical added to it.
It's definitely going to shorten your lifespan, but we need a bunch of it. We need to figure out how to make it and get some over to us, okay?
Sounds like fun.
Oh, by the way, it's quite possibly explosive when you're done making it, so be careful. Keep that in mind.
You guys always give me the best jobs.
Gun cotton is what apparently gave the rocket its initial thrust. It's an important but dangerous part of this myth. So the recipe is a MythBusters secret.
Okay, we're adding a ½ ounce of to a ½ ounce of slowly.
When you add donkey to rooster, you get a violent
And,
reaction.
all that wonderful smoke cannot be good.
1
And all that wonderful smoke cannot be good.
2
And all that wonderful smoke cannot be good. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 1
So it's in with the cotton wool.
I don't know how much I trust respirators and masks at this point. That stuff looks just disgustingly fatal.
The rest of the fatal process is classified. But after a complicated afternoon, Carrie's gun cotton is all set for a test.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Woo! Not bad.
That makes a big difference.
The secret recipe works. The gun cotton is remarkably energetic. But could it propel a rocket out of a cannon?
All right, let's try it with the cannon.
Cool.
This is the crucial part. If the gun cotton is powerful, then they can scale this up to give the hybrid rocket its initial thrust.
You ready? Okay. Fire in the hole in 3, 2, 1.
Success. And with more of it, it could just be enough to kickstart the rocket out of its naval cannon launch tube. The fifth and final mythical ingredient is ready. The gun cotton check. That just leaves the last details. First, the nose cone.
I don't have a big enough piece of wood for the nose cone, so I'm going to lay that out of foam. I mean, we're not putting an actual warhead on this thing.
Even the MythBusters have to draw the line somewhere. A foam nose cone will have to do. And second, a paint job. Looking pretty in pink, the MythBusters rocket is finally ready. This puppy is going to get fired.
Oh, it's gotten heavier.
Yeah, I know.
The MythBusters' homemade Confederate rocket is about to shoot for the moon. Time to return to the desert, where things have started badly.
And we're stuck. But it's only the biggest vehicle in the fleet that's stuck. So we're using every other vehicle to get it out.
Jamie drove them into this mess, so he's got to dig them out.
What else do we have to stick under there? Anything?
But they're not having much luck. And believe me, this is not a fun place to break down.
We were hoping to work for the morning and then go back to the hotel, have a hacienda, work later in the day so we didn't take the heat of the sun. But no! Go ahead and pull. Pull, pull, come on, pull!
At 110 degrees, reinforcements are called. And with some tow truck talent, she's out. Freed at last, Jamie swings the truck around and gets stuck again.
Is there anything I could say that would make this more poignant? I don't think so.
Like rats in a sinking ship, the team abandon their lamentable lorry and take all their rocket equipment with them. After finally arriving on site, the race is on to get the rocket ready and fired. And to start, Adam finishes off the cannon-inspired gun barrel. To get the launch trajectory, Adam's attaching an A-frame to it. Meanwhile, Jamie's back to pulling strings.
I've run the pull cord, which opens the nitrous valve the entire distance because I want to feel what it feels like and have somebody watching on the other end to make sure that it actually worked.
We're ready for the test whenever you are.
Yo!
Hey!
That was it, right on the ball.
Hey, that worked!
With the quick release valve working from 500 feet, the team slide the rocket into the cannon.
Favor the far side.
Add the wax fuel, and then seal her up.
Perfect. Lovely.
Fabulous. You're the man. Stud. What?
And next up for these studs is the erection.
There you go, Eric. Watch your fingers.
She's nearly ready.
You like it? Yeah.
Jamie adds Carrie's gun cotton propellant to the base of the cannon. And that just leaves the fuel oxidizer, the liquid nitrous oxide. As the team make the final preparations, it seems this hybrid rocket has come a long way from the original myth. So is any part of this parable actually true?
They did have gun cotton in 1865, and they did have steel. They did have nitrous oxide.
Firing a rocket from a tube, totally plausible. Completely within the realm of possibility.
Building the rocket is one thing. All of the processes that go into actually launching it make it, in my opinion, improbable, but not impossible for them to have done in that era.
The Civil War rocket. Improbable, but not impossible. Sure, the MythBusters have made a few changes, but does it really stand a chance of flying the mythical 120 miles?
All right, here's the percentages. 60% chance that we get a lot of flame and a lot of fuss and bother, and the rocket doesn't leave the tube. 5% chance that it blows up in the tube from too much pressure or something like that. What have I got left, 35? Yeah, I'll give 20% chance of a successful launch and 15% chance of something I cannot even remotely predict.
Well, let's find out. Adam's going to press the button, then Jamie will yank open the quick release valve.
All right, here goes the big boom Civil War rocket. In 3, 2, 1, ignition. Something's happening. Here it goes. Woo!
I know, me too.
Yeah! I forgot to take a picture. Sir?
Good job, Jimmy.
Good job, everybody.
Wow.
Got out of the barrel, great in the air.
Our first hybrid rocket.
And didn't she do well? It took a while for the nitrous oxide to mix with the fuel, but then she was off.
Nice work. Should we go find our rocket?
Yeah.
All right. Is it that thing right that way?
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, so I'll pace it off while we walk out.
That was a rocket. There's no two ways about it. For being made out of some plumbing pipe and pipe caps, it's not half bad. That was heavy.
It weighed over 200 pounds. But how far did it go?
I got it! Here it is! There you go.
1, 2, 3.
Made it about 500 yards in 2 days. 2 days, baby. Let anybody else do that and get something airborne like this out of plumbing parts and a visit to your local hardware store.
A little hubris from the Heinemann.
And rightly so. After all, they just built a rocket out of plumbing parts in 48 hours. Want to see it again? The 200-pound Civil War rocket came straight out of the barrel, but had nowhere near the thrust of modern rockets. A success, but still 119 miles shorter than the myth.
So there you have it, Confederate rocket. Is it busted, plausible, or confirmed?
Totally busted. You know, we got airborne with stuff that they could have had, they could have put together, but nowhere near 120 miles.
I agree. They had access to all this technology, but putting it all together didn't happen for another, maybe even 100 years. And we made a good effort, and I'm so glad we got a launch, but this one's busted.
Busted.
On this episode of MythBusters, there's peril on the high seas as the team tests out cures for seasickness.
Well, they may work for Barry Manilow, but they don't work for crap for me.
And Adam and Jamie hit the road for a fuel efficiency special.
That's it. I just petered out.
Plus, the MythBusters star in their very own cartoon, featuring shotgun shenanigans.
This time we're going for total annihilation.
Can shoving your finger into a gun barrel really save your life? Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage, Jamie Heineman,
This is gonna kill you.
Tori Balachi,
Very excited about this.
Carrie Byron,
Look, he cracked into his skull.
and Grant Imahara.
Don't say anything.
Between them, over 50 years of special effects experience.
That's what I'm talking about.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. Whenever the MythBusters have sailed for science, Adam's dirty little secret has been chucked up. He and the sea just don't agree, and it's time to find a solution.
Well, Adam, as we've seen, you have a problem with seasickness.
We definitely need to find something for you, but things that are pharmacological often have side effects like drowsiness and dizziness and things that you don't want to do in a table saw.
Well, I mean, there are also a lot of non-pharmaceutical remedies out there. I mean, there's wrist straps, there's electrical stimulation, there's sprays.
These days, there are non-pharmaceutical cures aplenty, and the MythBusters are going to put them to the test. But the ocean is a fickle place. One day it's chucktastic, but the next can be mirror flat. Sadly for Adam, Jamie's got a plan that guarantees gratuitous gagging.
I think what we need to do is something more like what NASA does. That is, build a chair that moves you around in a certain way that's designed to make you seasick. And then every day we'll come back in and try, a brand new remedy.
You sound really excited about this experiment.
I'm really looking forward to it.
When it comes to making people puke, NASA are the experts. They've got the zero-gravity plane, famously called the Vomit Comet. But believe it or not, the real spew machine is the seasick chair. At just 7 revolutions per minute, it's surprisingly effective. And Carrie's copying this lethal NASA design that the team can then ride right here in the shop.
In essence, my seasickness simulator consists of a platform that rotates with a chair mounted to it, and it's going to have a headpiece that's going to basically have a guide for you to move your head like this to induce nausea.
It's this head guide combined with the chair's rotating action that could throw up some results. But why exactly do people get seasick?
Well, Adam, you're not alone in getting motion sickness. Fishermen get it, Navy personnel get it, and our researchers even turned up that 90% of NASA's astronauts get it.
Well, it is always a relief not to be alone in a specific ailment, but what causes motion sickness? Why are so many people affected by it?
You're on a boat or something, and your eyes are telling you that the walls and the furniture, the table, is all stationary, but your other senses, your inner ear, your fine muscle controls, all of those things are telling you something else. So it's this confusing input of signals.
And the result is that I throw up?
It's all down to the senses not singing from the same song sheet. And the poor old brain, being barraged with conflicting information, just can't compute. With the sick headpiece ready, it's time for the auditions. Only people who get seasick can help find a cure that works. So before the experiment can start, the whole team must go for a spin to see who feels the effects.
Go.
And likely spewer, Adam, is up first.
I gotta tell you, it's already pretty disorienting.
All right, Jamie's gonna time it, and I'm gonna tell you what to do with your head. Forward,
back, left, right.
The time it takes NASA to induce seasickness varies depending on the victim.
Left.
Some people succumb in 30 seconds, some in 30 minutes, and some not at all. But Adam?
I'm starting to sweat.
Right, back.
Let's stop it.
So you're claiming this is it for you?
I'm claiming I already feel pretty queasy.
After 3.5 minutes, Adam staggers off, knowing he's just become test subject number 1. And will he be joined by Jamie?
Given that this machine is designed to make you sick, I would say that it's entirely possible that I'll get sick.
He will ride that chair, he will swallow his vomit, he will do whatever it takes to keep the myth up that he is completely unsusceptible. So we're never going to get any symptoms out of him no matter what. His self-control is gargantuan.
Okay.
But Carrie's got other ideas.
Left.
She's trying everything to turn Jamie green.
Back. Forward. Back. Forward. Back. Left. Forward. Right. Back. Forward. Back.
After half an hour, how's he doing?
I'm kind of like bored a little bit.
He's just a little too amused with this. It's starting to piss me off. That's it. You made it.
With Sea Dog Jamie as fit as a fiddle, Adam's still waiting for a barf buddy.
Sorry.
But worryingly for him, neither Carrie nor Tori
This is fun. I could do this all day.
succumb to the chair.
Grant!
That just leaves Grant.
We've got a plan for you.
Forward. Back.
It's an evil plan that soon seems to be working.
I feel
Back.
something coming up in my throat, but
Forward.
I'm not
Back.
in any immediate danger of spewing.
Forward.
No?
Thing.
Well,
Left.
10 minutes later, that all changes.
Uh-oh.
So Grant's going to be Adam's puke partner. But before the clinical trials can begin, the team is going to hit the road with another myth.
Well, it looks like we've got another driving fuel efficiency myth, a classic, right off the Discovery website.
Yeah, it looks like we've got to do another driving marathon, huh?
This time, the myth is that driving your pickup truck with the tailgate down gives you better fuel efficiency than driving with it up.
I've been driving a pickup for the past 10 years, and I live it up.
Well, we're going to find out whether or not you've been wasting money, which I know you hate to do.
Is tailgate down really more efficient than tailgate up? To test this driver dilemma, Adam and Jamie are going to drive to the desert and back to see who runs out of gas first. The MythBusters have acquired 2 identical new pickups.
Check out your
Each
mileage.
vehicle has done the same mileage, has the same tire pressure,
35.
will be carrying the same weight,
Hey!
Whoa.
226.8.
226.8.
You really had to go.
and to ensure equal fuel consumption, Grant has even devised a set of driving rules.
Number 1, you must maintain the legal speed limit. Number 2, all acceleration must be done by the cruise control. Number 3, no drafting, so you don't take advantage of any aerodynamic advantage. Number 4, windows up, and if you have air conditioning, it's got to be exactly the same in both cars. Any questions?
If the myth is true, then the truck with the tailgate up should be the first one to run out of gas. And away we go.
That's the theory. So it's time to put this pickup parable into practice. And Jamie's leading off with the tailgate up.
Drivers be advised, current speed limit is 50 miles per hour. Over. Roger that, I am cruise controlled at exactly 50 miles per hour.
I am also on cruise control at 50 miles an hour as well. Thank you.
The MythBusters are in for the long haul. These pickups are filled to the brim. That's over 30 gallons. It's going to be a hell of a trip. In the tailgate fuel efficiency controversy, Adam and Jamie are on the road again.
We copy that, Red Leader. Decelerating to 60 miles per hour.
So far, there's no discernible difference in gas consumption, but they're only 150 miles out of San Fran. There's time yet for another myth.
Well, I see you guys have gotten into the gun cabinet again. Are you up to no good, or is this something to do with a myth?
Well, we've chosen quite a fun project. It's an old classic from the sci-fis, the movies, and definitely cartoons. It's the finger in the barrel.
The idea is that if somebody points a gun at you, you can take your finger and stick it right in the barrel. When they pull the trigger, your hand will be magically saved, the gun will explode and injure or possibly kill the shooter.
Well, guns, cartoons, maybe some big bangs. Sounds like fun.
It's a cartoon classic. Who are the Myth-Toons? Hunter Heineman.
Quack, damn you.
And Savage Squirrel.
Am I missing an eyebrow?
Our sharpshooter is on the warpath, stalking a snack-happy squirrel. But the ginger rodent has a life-saving trick up his sleeve. Faced with certain death, he plugs the barrel. And the hunter's plans literally backfire. But is this loony myth constrained to cartoons, or does it really happen?
Well, what's going on here? Are we going to just buy a bunch of guns and start plugging the barrels up and see what happens?
I thought maybe we'd start with the shotgun, since that's the one that you always see in the cartoons.
We're definitely going to need a hand. I'm thinking of maybe taking a ballistics gel casting and giving it some rigidity by casting a skeleton inside of it.
And we're going to need to see what happens to the shooter if and when the gun explodes, so we'll need a bust.
Well, it sounds good to me. Let's get started on it.
They're going to make a ballistics gel bust of a shooter and line him up behind a shotgun. Then they'll plug the barrel with an artificial finger, pull the trigger, and see who comes off worse. So it's all hands to the pump.
Hey, Tori, can you come give me a hand with something?
What do you need?
I actually need your hand. I'm going to make a ballistics gel model of a hand.
And so you need a hand.
I need a hand with my hand.
Tori's lending a hand for what will become a ballistics gel finger that'll be stuffed into the shotgun barrel.
Ooh, that looked like it came out good.
Yeah, no ripping. All right.
Next, it's in with the plaster, the second of many steps in this complex world of modeling. As Carrie beats out the bubbles, Tori and Grant decide to get ahead.
Okay, so why are we at the makeup shop?
Well, we're gonna do a live cast, and we need the materials to do that. And we've decided that you're the one that we're gonna do the live cast on, so let's go. What?
Grant's been volunteered to be the live cast model for their ballistics gel shooter.
How you doing?
Hi, guys.
I'm Tori.
Joe Quartz. Nice
Grant.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, we need to do a live cast of Grant, and he doesn't want to shave his head for some reason.
No problem. We use a bald pate for that. It'll completely cover up your head.
Great.
All your hair is spared. Start from the back. Yeah, there you go.
Dude.
What do you think? It's a good look, right?
Yeah. Can you wear this out?
Yeah. Can I borrow this for the weekend?
Now you.
Oh.
There goes the mustache. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you're ready to cast, what you want to do is go
Olympic swimmer.
and you'll need somebody else to come by and draw a line exactly where you want.
Great. Good. Are we done?
That looks great.
Okay.
But back at the shop, does Grant really know what he's letting himself in for?
I've never had a live cast done of me before, but in the 12 or so years that I worked for Lucasfilm, I portrayed many costume characters, and I've been encased head to toe in fiberglass. So this, I think this will be a walk in the park compared to that. Now that's a strange feeling.
Just like they do in the movies, Tori's first going to cover Grant in blue mold mixture and then plaster him with plaster.
Let's have a safety word in case you start freaking out.
Oh,
like help, get this stuff off me? Something like that.
Yeah, I like help. Help's good. That's easy to remember.
Okay.
Easy to remember, but unlikely to be needed because these guys are trained professionals.
Oh, that is just as nasty as I expected it to feel.
Slowly, Grant begins his transformation into the creature from the Blue Lagoon.
How you doing, little buddy? I'm not sure I understand that. If you're okay, I want you to grunt twice. I think he's all right.
From a grunting swamp thing, Tori switches horror genre as the mummy returns.
Looks really frightening from this side.
For Grant, this is where it gets really uncomfortable. The plaster bandage is cold, heavy, and completely blocks out the light. And with one of the straws fallen out of his nose, it's here where panic can really set in. The MythBusters are investigating a classic cartoon calamity. Can shoving your fingers into a shotgun barrel cause an explosive backfire? Carrie's been modeling a finger that she's going to shove into the shotgun barrel. While Tori's been making a model shooter. In this case, a live cast of Grant. Luckily for Grant, Tori has done this before.
One time I had to do an actress's legs. I was making a mermaid suit, and that was probably one of the times where I was most nervous because she was very good looking, and I didn't know her. And you know, there were certain areas that you have to put the material on, but you're just kind of cautious about it. Okay, dude, you ready to come out?
For Tori, there's no more beating about the bush. It's time to rescue Grant.
I can't get it off.
After some careful slicing and dicing, Grant finally busts out.
The last part was difficult, wasn't it?
He's sucking air like a fish out of water, but unlike said fish, he'll live.
One of the straws failed about halfway through the alginate. I was getting close to calling it, but I figured we'd come this far. Let's just go with one straw.
It was the last straw, but it worked. As Tori heads on towards a ballistics gel version, Grant's being honored for his bravery with a trip to the police firing range.
Wow.
Because someone needs to check that the MythBusters shotgun still works.
So this is the 3-inch deer slug out of a shotgun.
After all, last time it was used, it got rather wet.
3, 2, 1.
As did the rest of the shop.
Lean forward, get that upper torso weight in front of you. That'll actually help you stay on target.
3, 2, 1.
Bingo. This sure ain't no water pistol.
Right. If it's not touching you, it's going to kick you.
In 3, 2.
But best to double check.
Much better, huh?
Fortunately, Grant soon remembers that he's also here to ask gun expert Alan Normandy what might cause a banana peel explosion. And it's all to do with pressure.
Whenever a bullet is being shoved down a barrel, essentially, it's being shoved by the expanding gas. So as the gunpowder burns, the gases expand. Now, if you plug that barrel, now you're not giving the escaping gases anywhere to go. So it's going to go ahead and find some way out.
So let's get this straight. When a bullet is fired, a small explosion occurs. As the gas expands, it forces the bullet through and out of the barrel. But if the barrel is sealed shut, the gas has nowhere to escape and the pressure can build until the gun ruptures.
We need to test this at MythBusters. What do you think is going to happen when we take our ballistics gel finger and put that in the barrel of a 12-gauge shotgun?
I don't think you can create a sufficient seal to contain the pressure just with a gelatin finger, a chicken finger, or any other kind of finger.
To get this myth to work, they're going to need to pull their finger out. Back with the Tailgate Challenge, Adam and Jamie are halfway through. They've driven over 300 miles, and yet so far there appears to be no difference between tailgate up and tailgate down.
So how much gas did you use?
I'm just about at half a tank.
Yeah, I'm spot on a half.
These things are like behemoths in the tank department.
Well, there's something for them to dream about until dawn breaks and they set off once more. If the myth is true, then tailgate up Jamie should run out of gas well before tailgate down Adam. But 8 hours and 200 miles later, there's a surprise in store.
I put the key in the vehicle and the fuel gauge needle just doesn't do anything. I'm expecting to start sputtering any second now.
And sure enough, a couple of miles further on,
that's it, I just petered out.
We're about 40 miles outside of San Francisco, just at the Altamont Pass, and I just finally ran out of gas with the tailgate down.
As Adam refuels to get home, tailgate up Jamie carries on. Remember that these cars were carbon copies and they were driven in an identical way. Yet, remarkably, tailgate up runs dry nearly 30 miles further down the track.
Yeah, it's definitely out. I'm keying it off, over.
Because it's another counterintuitive result, Adam and Jamie head back to base to delve deeper.
I don't think we're done testing this. I think we have to actually come up with a way to visualize how the air moves around the truck. I'm just not sure how we should do it.
Well, rather than build a gigantic wind tunnel, maybe we should do what NASA does and build a water tunnel kind of version in miniature.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Thanks to NASA, they're building a donut-shaped tank that'll have water flowing around it, courtesy of an outboard engine. Within the main current will sit a scale model pickup truck. Once it's filled with water, they'll add food dye to the flow, and hopefully we'll visualize the amount of drag created by the tailgate up and the tailgate down.
Okay. That ought to make it work fine.
But as Jamie adds more and more food dye, the results aren't exactly crystal clear. The dye seems to speed over the truck, regardless of whether the tailgate is up or down. Even on the high speed, it's impossible to see any pattern of turbulence or drag. But what were they hoping for?
According to the designers of these trucks, there's a sort of a circular pillow of air that forms behind the cab of the truck when the tailgate is up. And that is known as a separated bubble, or if you're really nerdy, a locked vortex flow.
Now, what that actual bubble is doing is that nice circular motion of slow-moving air is actually keeping the fast-moving air from contacting the truck. It's making it move right over the truck. When you move the tailgate down, that actually breaks down that bubble, and the fast-moving air gets caught and brought into the bed of the pickup, producing drag. Believe it or not.
Well, with the dye, it was hard to believe. So Adam tries again with oats instead.
The vortex there that's in the bed of the truck is gathering oats slowly, but at a very sort of steady, measured pace. And you can see they're mostly just staying there in that pocket.
That's the elusive separated bubble that deflects the oncoming wind over the raised tailgate.
All right, I'm going to drop the tray down and we'll see if we can spot any difference.
Okay.
I think what I see is that it's gathering them at a much faster rate. And it's right about here. They're hitting this critical point where I can see them kind of falling off and joining in with their friends.
The lowered tailgate bursts the separated bubble, so the wind is pulled down right onto the truck bed, creating big-time drag. It really is a less efficient way to drive.
Well, I don't know what else we can do. I mean, we've got our own experimental data that verifies that it's better to drive with your pickup tailgate up than it is down.
I just wouldn't have guessed that. It's totally surprising.
What are you going to do?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait for their emails to come.
Adam and Grant are putting their lunches on the line as the MythBusters seek a seasickness solution. Each day, they're going to test a different, non-pharmaceutical remedy. And first up is the homeopathic tongue tingler.
That burned! So apparently the directions are a spray under the tongue as often as needed.
But 10 minutes in and 5 sprays later, it's not going well.
Grant, would you rely on this remedy in a seasick situation?
If I were out on the open ocean, this wouldn't be my only choice.
Good job, because soon after, things turn nasty.
There's a bucket in front of you.
Well, that remedy doesn't work.
Okay, so the tongue spray clearly doesn't float Grant's boat.
Next!
But Adam's not having much joy either. Just 4 minutes, and he's had enough.
All right, let's turn it up. Turn it up.
You look a little green.
I feel a little green.
After the boys make a full recovery, it's trial number 2.
Next up in our quest for a non-pharmaceutical remedy for seasickness, we've got these little wrist straps, which I think I'm supposed to wear on my wrists. And supposedly, Barry Manilow doesn't travel anywhere without them, and maybe I won't either after this test.
They're especially effective when sailing to the Copacabana.
I feel better already. All right, let's bring on the spew.
This time, Adam spins first.
You're starting to like it.
There's nothing to like about this.
And sure enough, 90 seconds later...
These aren't working at all. Let's stop. It's like instantaneous today. I don't know why. Well, they may work for Barry Manilow, but they don't work for crap for me.
And neither do they work for Grant.
Okay, that's it.
So it's chair 2, remedies zip. A result particularly surprising given that the chair looks so gentle.
Well, it's probably obvious to anybody that's ever been on a boat and gotten seasick, but hard science actually backs this up. It's not the up and down motion that gets you, it's the rolling side to side and pitching back and forth.
And actually, they've done enough studies to dial in on exactly what the frequency is that makes you the most ill, and it turns out to be about 0.2 hertz, about a pitch roll or yaw every 5 seconds, which is generally what you'd experience on a large boat. And at frequencies higher than that, the incidences of seasickness drop very quickly. That's why surfers don't get sick and people on big boats do.
Tori and Carrie have been building model body parts to help test whether shoving your fingers down a gun barrel can save your life.
This stuff smells like crap.
And they're all set for the ballistics gel. Tori's carefully followed the FBI recipe, which means that their head and hand molds should have the consistency of human flesh. And with the ballistics gel body parts chilling in the fridge, the team turns the heat up on safety. Let's cut to the chase. If the cartoons are right, a blocked shotgun could explode with fatal consequences. So for this myth, it's back to the bunker. Tori carves out new viewing windows before the container gets some much-needed reinforcement. It's a MythBusters makeover special.
So we got a couple more hours till the Peterson family gets back. You know, it's coming pretty good. I hope once they look at it, we're giving them that dungeon look that they asked for.
While Tori waits for the Petersons to arrive, Grant is also busy with safety.
My job for this myth is going to be to make a remote firing mechanism. Since there's potential that the barrel's going to explode, we don't want to have anybody nearby.
He's designing a remote-controlled trigger pull, which means that no one needs to be in the shooting bunker to fire the gun. But does it work? Perfectly. With Grant, you get 2 for the price of 1, because his ballistics gel counterpart is ready to be demolded.
Oh, don't fall apart on me.
Oh, someone's head's gonna roll for this.
Sabotage.
Grant's proving to be one big pain in the neck. And Carrie's been handed the same problem.
The consistency of my fingertips here are sort of a crunchy, frozen, brittle mess, whereas the rest of the hand, it's more like a soft jello. So I really believe that it's set wrong.
You don't say. Luckily, her second hand makes amends.
Oh, yes, it's the best one yet. Oh my God, look at this one. Look how cool this looks. You can totally see the skeleton inside.
With test time approaching, the team are 1 hand down and short by a head. So Tori decides to recycle previous ballistics models. It's faster and harder to screw up. And sure enough, with Adam and Jamie's help, the new Grant has come out in one piece.
Little Imahara.
Looks like the doctor didn't reshape his head when he came out.
It'll be fine.
The last ingredient is ready. With the radio control shotgun, Buster complete with new hands, and the ballistic shooter all locked and loaded in the bunker, the myth busting can begin. The MythBusters have gone cartoon crazy. Can fingers really stop a shotgun? All the ingredients are ready, so let the firing commence. For the first test, Buster's gel finger is squeezed into the barrel. Please do not try this at home.
This is test number 1. Finger in a barrel, ballistics gel finger. Everybody ready? In 3, 2, 1.
Looks like it worked.
I would say we're all clear.
Excellent. Let's go see what happened.
Hey, his hand's gone. Well, not only did it destroy the finger, it blew apart the hand.
Nice.
All that's left is a little stump of a wrist. I don't think this is exactly an effective way to stop a bullet.
So for test 1, Buster's whole hand was blown to smithereens. Let's see that again. Big bang, but no banana barrel. Just an horrific injury to Buster. And Grant the shooter gets not a scratch.
This test right now places us in the realm of Bugs Bunny fantasy. If we want to see a shotgun actually blow up from excessive pressure in its barrel, we're going to have to use a bigger plug. We're going to go with another ballistics wax hand this time, which is a little more robust.
But is test 2's hand robust enough?
Safety's off. In 3, 2, 1.
the gun is clearly still intact, and
His hand is totally gone again.
something doesn't surprise me about that.
Dude,
What?
come here. Look at the very tip
I'll
of the
be
barrel.
darned. The barrel has actually changed shape.
Do you guys see the barrel? Yes! It is a full-on Bugs Bunny moment. Man, that was enough pressure in the barrel to cause it to mushroom out like that. That's amazing.
Adam's getting a little animated. The finger did have an effect, but it's hardly cartoon comedy.
For this myth to be true, we have 3 very important criteria. 1, the finger has to remain intact. 2, the gun itself has to be the thing that explodes. And 3, the shooter has to be the one that's injured or killed. None of this happened. The finger blew off. The end of the rifle just ballooned a little bit. And the shooter's totally fine. So at this point, I could call this myth busted.
Adam gets seasickness so badly that he vowed to find a solution. So he and Grant have become chuck chums as they test out different cures. But they're avoiding regular medicine because they want a remedy that is side effect free. And today, it's ginger pills.
So you took your ginger tablets an hour ago.
I did?
You're all set to go?
Yeah.
The roots of ginger have been used by Far Eastern sailors for centuries. And for Adam, ginger seems to be working.
Are you feeling any signs of nausea?
No.
Nothing?
Hey, maybe this one works.
It seems ginger has made Adam impervious to nausea. Even the sickening whiff of Carrie's sneakers has no effect.
I mean, at this point, I'm trying to think of things that are sickening, like when you throw up and you can taste it in your nose and you've got to blow it out of your nose, that kind of stuff. Still not doing anything.
After 25 minutes of thinking sick-inducing thoughts, it's all smiles for Adam.
Good job.
And the same is true for Grant. He does a full half hour with no illness at all. Ginger, at least for these guys, gets the thumbs up. Next day, it's the final non-pharmaceutical test, the electric stimulation wristband.
God, that feels weird. I feel it all the way up through my 2 middle fingers.
Small shocks on the P6 acupuncture point can relieve the effects of seasickness in some sufferers. It's a newfangled remedy, but for Adam, it's the same old story.
Oh. No, we gotta stop.
Stop. That thing off you.
Get this thing off.
Grant, too, feels little effect.
Turning the band down.
So with 4 tests down, how are the test subjects getting on?
I think about the chair on the drive to work and I feel a little nauseous. I describe the chair at a dinner party and I feel a little nauseous. This chair is never getting back in my house.
I don't know if we're trained like Pavlovian dogs to have this response to this particular situation, but I have to say that just thinking about it makes me feel a little ill.
It seems that both Adam and Grant are suffering the age-old problem of clinical trials, mind games. But Jamie has a cunning plan.
Jamie, I've been thinking about this a little bit. How do we know they're not fooling themselves into believing that the remedies are not working?
There's a tried and true and very simple way of dealing with that, and that's called the placebo. So what we're going to do is give them something that we're going to tell them is an over-the-counter pharmaceutical remedy that, they'll be thinking that if anything works this well. And what we're actually going to be giving them is something, useless like a vitamin or something else.
That's clever. Vitamins are useless?
Well, for seasickness.
So this time, Adam thinks he's taken a regular drug treatment, but in fact, he's had a vitamin. Will his brain trick his body into believing that this remedy works, or will he get as sick as ever?
Oh, stop.
Okay.
Oh. I hate this chair.
Well, you're looking at 3 minutes and 35 seconds.
No psychological effects with Adam. What you see is what you get. But Grant.
Spin me, baby.
20 minutes in, and it's this point that Grant usually begs for mercy. But not today.
This is among the most effective, if not the most effective, remedy that I've had so far.
Remember that Grant thinks he's taken a medicinal cure, but in fact he's had vitamin B12, which has no effect on motion sickness. He's fallen for the placebo, which means his previous results can no longer be trusted.
What's the result with you on this one, Grant?
I think it works.
You think it works?
I'm feeling like it was trying to do something, but, you know, it was just staying down there.
I apologize for this. It wasn't my idea, but what you just took was B12. It was a placebo.
At the very moment that Jamie revealed that what we had received was a placebo, my very first thought was, crap. We have to do this again.
But only once more, today with the real medicinal drug. And sure enough, it works.
I can definitely feel the pharmaceuticals in my body, and I can feel how they're not quite holding back all the sick feelings. They're just holding back enough that, you know, I'm functional.
Although not that functional.
Sorry, I actually just fell asleep there for a second.
And Grant, after 15 minutes, there's no nausea. But like Adam, he's feeling the sleepy side effects of the drug.
We'll see. Right now, though I feel pretty good, I don't feel very competent to operate heavy machinery or have, you know, be in a life-threatening situation.
Lethargy and drowsiness have no place in the myth-busting game. Seasickness has been a real problem for Adam, but will that still be the case? After 6 stomach-churning tests, the results are in.
Well, it looks like the pharmaceutical remedy definitely worked on both of you, but you both look a little loopy. I don't think this is going to be the best working condition. No?
No.
No. So did we find a non-pharmaceutical remedy that'll work for either of you that's not going to leave you looking like you guys do?
I think the only thing that really worked without any, you know, major side effects was a ginger pill.
Next time I go out on a boat, I'm definitely taking those.
I mean, this is a really hard thing to test. I mean, seasickness is very individual, but I think that we can pretty much say ginger pills are plausible.
I would agree.
Home on the range, the MythBusters have shown that plugging a shotgun barrel with your fingers will not cause the gun to explosively backfire. But they're not giving up just yet.
You know, I definitely remember having seen pictures of blown up gun and rifle barrels.
Well, barrel obstructions, which could cause the barrel to explode, are not uncommon.
You mean like loading the wrong ammo in your rifle?
That's one way. Hunters, they get dirt or rocks stuck in the barrel. Poorly reloaded ammunition.
I would also imagine that super old guns that are poorly maintained would be a common cause.
That would definitely be a problem.
With fingers busted, Tori gets down and dirty with another real-life gun obstruction, soil.
Okay.
That'll do.
Although how real-life this is debatable.
I think this thing is going to explode right now.
I hope. I want to see some action.
With 8 inches of mud, could this be the real Dirty Harry?
In 3, 2, 1.
It looks good.
Oh!
Now that's a result. That.
Look at this.
Wow.
It looks like they've hit pay dirt. The shooter's fine, but the gun's been soiled. But not as soiled as they'd hoped. There's some peeling back, but to get the cartoon banana, they're going to have to go for broke.
The last thing we're going to try is jamming a piece of steel, solid steel, into the barrel and welding around the edge. And I think that's going to give us what we want to see.
So they're abandoning real-life scenarios as they prepare to ram a steel spike into the gun. And this time, they're making sure it's sealed completely shut.
I've put some pretty strange things in the toilet before, but never had to cool the nozzle of a gun that's just been welded shut.
In keeping with the MythBusters ethos, we have tested the myth, we have busted the myth, and now we're going to see if we can prove the circumstances. We've plugged the barrel with a steel spike that we've welded into the end of the barrel. If anything will make it split like a banana and blow up in the operator's face, it's this. No one in their right mind would fire a rifle in this configuration.
Please leave this one to the experts.
This time we're going for total annihilation.
In 3, 2, 1.
Yeah! Something happened.
Something happened, but it was no banana ring. The gun simply shot the welded spike straight out.
Yeah, but this isn't gonna make the cartoon hunter's face turn black and burn his hair off.
No, dirt was more interesting than a steel plug.
Granted, we didn't get something dramatic here, but I think this is the most interesting result because effectively the gun contained the explosion.
That it did. It seems that modern shotguns are just too strong for this myth. They're manufactured to withstand banana peeling. But before busting the myth completely, Jamie has one last trick up his sleeve: a squib load in a high-powered rifle. A squib load is a round that has so little gunpowder that it fails to exit the barrel. If left uncleared, the next bullet can have disastrous consequences. And disastrous consequences is what this team thrives on. Jamie's making a MythBusters squib load. He's carefully removed the metal slug from the round and is safely hammering it into the end of their Carcano rifle. Do not try this at home.
That ought to do it. Well, there's your problem.
Grant's remote control doesn't fit the new gun, so they're going with the old-fashioned method.
Carcano rifles, squib load in 3, 2, 1.
Woo! That sounded fun.
That was no misfire.
No misfire, but was there a banana backfire?
Shooter's still in
Hey!
Oh.
No, that looks pretty good at the end.
What happened to the barrel?
Oh, you got a little bulge.
It definitely bulged it out. It wasn't exactly the banana peel thing that we're looking for, which seems so hard to achieve.
So hard, it's surely impossible. Even the squib load refused to blow. So can anything cause the banana ring?
I don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but I think we may end up revisiting this one.
A revisit may indeed beckon. But for now, that's all, folks.
You know, it's funny, no matter how long I do this, I never cease to be amazed that there's an element of truth in everything we test. The fact that a finger in a barrel can provide enough blockage to make the barrel blow out? I mean, it's steel, your finger's flesh. I would not have called that. It caught me by surprise.
Yeah, but the finger got blown off of both of the hands.
Both hands got blown off.
But we still didn't get that effect that we're looking for, the banana peeling of the barrel.
And the shooter was never damaged or covered with powder burns or anything. The whole idea of this myth, that you could stick your finger in a barrel, remain undamaged while the barrel blew up and the shooter was covered with gunpowder, absolutely busted.
I'll agree with you.
Remember, don't try this unless you're a cartoon.
On this episode of MythBusters, is it pancake day for this compact in the head-on from hell?
Once you guys go, you just go.
Or with big rigs on the loose, are the MythBusters toast?
Details.
And can vodka cure bad breath and cheesy feet? Grant and Adam go head to toe in an up-close and personal hygiene test.
There is no dignity in television.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman.
Aren't tracer rounds illegal?
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
That's what I'm talking about.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
So here's the story. 2 semi-trucks, head-on collision. The collision is so strong that they are fused together and have to be taken away to a wreckage yard in one piece. After a while, there's a really terrible sort of decomposing smell. And they start to pull the trucks apart to find out what's going on with the smell. And they find a small European car completely squished into a pancake with the driver still inside.
Yeah, I've heard the story. The way I heard it, though, is that one of the trucks was tailgating another. First driver slammed on the brakes, second truck smashed into him, and, you know, the same thing. Driver got pancaked.
Well, you know, even though Carrie's scenario is a little less plausible, I think that's the one that we should do because it's the one that has the biggest spectacle, it's the biggest impact. You know, a head-on collision with 2 full-sized semi-trailer trucks going 60, 75 miles an hour, that's what we want.
And that's what you got, minus the compact in the movie Matrix Reloaded. In this famous collision, the 2 semi-trailers did fuse together. But this sequence was created by CGI. The MythBusters plan to pull this off with real trucks and with a compact car in between. With a budget the size of Reloaded's daily donut allowance, Carrie and Tori hit the road in search of 2 free semi-trailers. The trail takes them to the Special T Truck Park.
We're at a truck salvage yard, and we're here to see if we can find a couple of trucks that we can smash up in a head-on collision. And I think we're at the right place. So if we did have a head-on collision with 2 semi-trucks, do you think they would fuse together?
The trucks are made out of sheet metal, and they have some of the steel is pretty malleable in the front. So I guess conceivably they could mold, the parts could mold together if the speed and everything was the right conditions.
I can't wait to find out.
I actually really hope that is the case. I want to see if we can fuse them together. That'd be bizarre. Nope.
Manager Dan Green shows them some trucks with a cab-over engine configuration. They're flat-fronted for maximum squashing power.
All right, this is what we're trying to do. This is the compact car. These are the trucks. That's what we're trying to do. I think I cut my hand. Ah, this one's good. It's tall, it's wide, it gives us, it's the cab over.
All that's missing are a couple of trailers to trash. And Dan calls in an old favor.
They're on the way.
Dan, making it happen.
So we can take that truck and that truck, get us a couple trailers, we're good to go.
Looks like the MythBusters have pulled off another piece of prize panhandling. And the myth is up and running.
The plausibility of this myth is actually looking really good. It sounds like from Dan's point of view, with the right size, mass, momentum, and shape, we might be able to smash this little car into a pancake.
Sounds encouraging. While Tori and Carrie have been shopping for semis, build team buddy Grant has been looking for a vacant stretch of freeway to smash them on.
I've come here to Alameda in search of a location for what I hope will be the greatest crash in MythBusters history.
Empty freeways don't grow on trees, except of course in Hollywood. By an amazing coincidence, this Alameda freeway was specially constructed for, you guessed it, Matrix Reloaded. One of the biggest sets in movie history, it allowed the director to shoot take after take without having to close off public roads.
What I'm looking for here is a straight 3,000-foot run. I also need a 1,500-foot run. Those two are going to meet and form a T. At the intersection of the T is going to be ground zero, where two semis will collide and hopefully make an already compact European car even more compact. 1,500 feet, 1,500 feet, 1,500 feet.
They've got the track, the trucks, and the trailers. But how about the small matter of the compact? No problem.
I've traveled all the way out to the suburbs because we've got a fan here who's willing to relinquish his small European vehicle to be completely pancaked between our two semi-trucks.
MythBusters fans just keep on giving.
How long's that been sitting in your driveway?
About 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're willing to just let us destroy it?
Well, I think it goes to a good cause. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
So you've seen the show?
Oh, yes, many times.
You know what it's in for?
Yes, I do.
Oh, nice. It's definitely little.
It's open.
Oh. No, this is sweet. This is way too nice.
But the motor's gone, so it's time to move on to bigger and better things.
Breaks my heart to think that we're gonna smash this car up. The upholstery's perfect. It's so cute.
Oh well, she'll get over it.
Well, we've gotten the requested vehicles, but none of us is really sure how you're going to be able to crash these two semis at the same time.
Well, time is the right word here. That's our big concern, because if they don't hit the car in the middle at exactly the right time, it's not happening.
We're going to put tow cables on the front of each of the semis. We're going to pull them towards the center point, but both cables will be pulled by the same tow vehicle. Ergo, both trucks ought to hit that small European car at precisely the same moment.
The plan is for a T-shaped crash course, with the semis running along the horizontal and the tow truck along the vertical line. The cables will run through pulleys, which will be secured in concrete below the compact at ground zero. The result should be a precision collision. It's D for Destruction Day at Alameda, and the crash crew arrives in convoy. There's a serious smash in store, but engineering a head-on collision is going to need some cunning choreography.
Okay, Carrie, at either end of the tarmac is a truck. We're going to connect cables to those trucks and pull the cables to a central point, which is right here.
Okay.
So what we need you to do is drill a 4-foot deep hole so we can sink a pole in there and put two pulleys on it.
Wow. It's quite a plan. A lot of things have to go right for that plan to work.
Absolutely. But here's where we start.
While Carrie bores the hole at ground zero, Grant and Tori start prepping the trucks for what should be a spectacular swan song. First, they drain all the fluids from the vehicles so that the collision won't lead to an explosion, which is a shame, really, but they hope to live through this one to bust more myths in the future. For the same reason, nobody's volunteering to drive the trucks, so a head-on collision depends upon a makeshift autopilot.
Job number 2, we've got to weld guide bars on that'll help keep the truck straight during the experiment. If they veer off, guide bars will help bring them back on a straight path.
They've been here before. The myth of the killer tissue box also called for a high-speed collision under tow. So the guys rigged up a steering rack to keep the crash car on course right up to impact. But can the same technique keep two large trucks on track? The MythBusters have a history of testing liquid myths. In a previous episode, they put cola to an array of tests to see if your favorite soda is more than just a thirst quencher.
It's kind of rejuvenating the blood, isn't it?
Isn't that what they advertise it to do?
Now, Carrie has another bevy of bevy myths to test.
Okay, what is it?
Vodka. Our researchers have been scouring the internet and have compiled a list of the top vodka myths.
Vodka didn't make it to the West until the 1940s, but Russians have been quaffing it for over 1,000 years. Today, it's more than just the national drink, it's an icon, and the Russian people believe it possesses mythical powers.
Well, it really sounds like vodka's going to give cola a run for its money. And is this your area of expertise? I mean, you've spent years with alcohol.
Actually, Scotch. Scotch is my field, but I'm willing to do a little research on vodka and learn a little bit about it, and I know just the guy to talk to.
A vodka guy.
A vodka guy. Well, Keith, could you define vodka for me?
Well, the classic definition is odorless, tasteless spirit made of grain or other vegetable matters.
So how popular is vodka?
27% of all spirits consumed in the US are vodka in one form or another.
27%.
Huge amount.
Wow.
And growing.
So what makes vodka so popular?
It's so versatile. It can be great to be drunk straight up as a martini, or it can be mixed with any kind of mix that you have.
But is it versatile enough to combat cheesy feet? Time for a vodka myth.
Adam, come here.
What do you guys have going on here?
We need a little help with one of our vodka myths, and welcome to the MythBusters Spa. The myth is that washing your foot with vodka is going to cure foot odor. So we're going to do a little comparison. One vodka foot and one commercial foot soap.
I'm wearing my oldest shoes today, just by happenstance. So my foot odor might be pretty good.
Well, I've got a ninja nose here that's going to do my sniff test.
Okay. This is like some of the ugliest feet I've ever seen. I mean, not like I'm a foot specialist or anything, but I think I have to do a before test.
Oh, please, present your foot. How is it?
That's not foot odor, that's foot oh dear.
Yay, we got a little foot odor here.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Grant, it's time to put on the blindfold.
Ready.
Okay, this is some commercial foot odor soap. And then I've got vodka, which I'm gonna use more of a pouring method because there's not as much to soak.
Would this be considered a perk of your MythBuster experience?
Are you talking to me or him?
I had to say, I think there's going to be a lot of jealous fans out there that I'm getting my feet washed by you, Carrie.
Now you know you've made it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sir, would you mind soaking in these for a few minutes?
No, not at all.
So relax in the sunshine, and we'll come back for the sniff test.
All right.
Busting myths. It's a hard life, but someone's got to do it. In the myth of the compact, some champion eyelash batting by Carrie has secured 2 trucks, 2 trailers, and 1 small car. Now, the plan is to turn them into one large metal sandwich. Grant and Tori have been building steering rigs to keep the trucks straight under tow. And Adam and Jamie arrive to check on progress.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi.
What's going on?
So is it, what do you think? Is it
looks
on
like
there?
it's gonna work.
Check it out.
It's gonna steer it.
Now, let's see here.
So it's just like the killer tissue box with the guide bar that'll self-correct.
Right away, Jamie spots a problem.
The more I look at this, the more concerned I get, actually. I don't mean to rain on your parade, but we only have one shot at this.
Right.
And that almost looks like if I had a heavy enough screwdriver and pounded it in there, I could pry it out, you know? And this is a lot of force.
Jamie's special effects experience tells him that the rig needs reinforcing.
What if you ran a plate, welded it on right here, and as wide as you can, and then weld a filler between this stuff and that?
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea because there is no movement of this arm.
What we're trying to do is put a guide system on the front of this truck using its own steering system, just helping it along with a lever going forward so that when the tow trucks are pulling them, they're self-guiding. These trucks will go where the cables go.
But as the MythBusters safety officer, Jamie's always asking what could possibly go wrong.
The worst case scenario here is that something happens while we're underway and these big trucks, once they're already going 40 or 50 miles an hour, start to get out of control. if that happens, there's not a darn thing we can do about it.
Sounds perfect. While Grant and Tori make the necessary adjustments to the steering rig, Carrie's still busy boring.
Inching down this hole, bit by bit, very slow process. And loud.
She's down 3 feet. I say we call that good.
You bet.
Now, are you concerned that our stable part is only about 12 inches deep? Because I do have a plan B, which is to have a plate and some reinforcement on that.
Reinforce the heck out of everything. You know, there can't be anything flimsy here, or we're screwed.
With lives at stake, Jamie keeps hammering home the message that this myth should not be taken lightly. The shaft is sunk, the plate is welded, and bolted to the tarmac. Things are rolling along nicely.
Everything seems to be going along fine out here. These guys are all welding their various parts into place. While they're doing that, I'm going to set up the cable. These are 1,500-foot runs of 3/8 inch cable. The braking strength on this cable, I believe, is close to 20,000 pounds. It's just under that. So the cable should be more than strong enough to pull these trucks up to speed.
Where do you want this piece of crap? Right over here.
If things go to plan, this small car is soon going to be a lot smaller.
Okay, your centering's pretty good.
They position it directly over the pulley shaft, smack bang in the middle of the 3,000-foot crash track.
Okay, stop. Drive in. Okay.
That is a tiny little thing. I think 4 of us could actually lift it out of a parking space. I feel like yelling in Italian just sitting in here. Hey, basta, hey.
This crash test needs a dummy, a cube buster.
Okay, the wires have been laid, the pulleys have been rigged, and the guide bars have been welded on. Now it's time to move the trucks into position.
Plan number 1 was to pull 2 semis with 1 tow truck, but the mass is too great for 1. So plan number 2 involves 2 tow trucks, that is.
Oh, yeah.
I've always wanted to watch that happen.
Over half a mile away, at the other end of the runway, the second tow truck hooks up the other semi. Then the semis are lined up on their starting grids, each one precisely 1,500 feet from the compact.
Perfect.
That leaves just one more piece of the puzzle.
Watch your feet around this thing. It will kill you.
The next step is that we're going to put the weights in the trailer. The weights are steel plates, and each one of them weighs about 5,000 pounds. And the point of this is that we need to simulate the worst case situation, which is with the trailer and a truck that are fully loaded.
Everything is set. The scale of the impending crash suddenly hits home.
It just tripped me out because, like, you know, we're so stressed out about getting this thing done, getting everything to work. So I haven't really been, like, concentrating on what we're actually doing, and it just dawned on me that we're going to smash together 2 big rigs. It's just crazy. Like, you know, it just finally dawned on me.
Can vodka cure foot odor? That's the myth, and this is the guinea pig. The unfortunate Grant is the nose.
I just smelled Adam's feet, and it was gnarly. I think it's not so much the smell, it's actually the look of the feet. They're very, like, like curly. He's got one nail that kind of curls over like this. I mean, it's just wrong. For the benefit of the viewers, if I were to rate Adam's foot odor on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 being perhaps the worst thing I've ever smelled in my life, I'd have to say he's probably about a 7, maybe 8.
Since the control sniff, Adam's been taking the weight off, with one foot soaking in commercial foot soap and the other in a vodka foot bath. He's got high hopes for this myth, but is he underestimating the scale of the problem?
They feel squeaky clean. I don't know if they've been this clean in ages.
Well, alcohol is definitely a way to kill bacteria, and as bacteria, I believe, are primary cause of foot odor, I think vodka ought to do just fine. I wouldn't be surprised if Grant is unable to tell the difference between the 2 feet.
The condemned man is led from the building. His one last wish that Adam is right.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, start with that one.
And put your toes like that.
They are.
Grant's nothing if not thorough.
There is no dignity in television.
It's not bad. It's really not bad. Maybe, you know, a 0.5.
Wow.
So,
All right, well, let's try foot number 2.
Ooh, you're trembling. Okay, this one, I think this one is the vodka foot, and I think I smell just a little trace of something on it. I'm still not anywhere near a 7 or anything like that. It's, if anything, it's still like a 0.75. It's under 1.
You got it right. This is actually the vodka foot. But even though you said, given your druthers, you'd choose the footbath foot over the vodka foot, both of them removed almost all of the traces of any odor. So I'd say that's myth confirmed.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. I don't want to do that again.
You sure?
Yeah.
The MythBusters are attempting to pancake this little car between 2 big rigs in a high-speed head-on collision. The 2 tow truck drivers are going to be key players, so Jamie gives them the lowdown about the myth.
So, we've got a car over here, and we've got 2 semis, and you guys are going to make them go smack with the car in the middle. And we even have a crash test dummy in the car ready to go. Have you heard of this myth?
No.
Not heard anything
Yeah,
like
actually, I have.
You have heard the
Yes, I
myth.
have
What
heard
did you
the
hear?
myth. Exactly what you described.
According to the myth, a compact car was caught up in a head-on between 2 semi-trailers. The trucks fused together in the impact, and the wreck was towed off in one piece, with the compact car squashed flat in between them.
You guys looking a little apprehensive here. You looking forward to seeing it?
Absolutely.
All right, that's what we want to hear, because you guys are going to make it happen.
We'll do a test run, and we'll also do a test tow of one of the trucks so that we're sure that all the systems work. Does that sound reasonable?
That sounds good.
Head-on collision with 2 trucks. What could go wrong?
Knowing the MythBusters, anything and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We don't even need those tow trucks.
First, a tow test to see if the cables hold and the steering steers. The tow cables have a braking strain of 20,000 pounds and shouldn't break. The ropes that attach the cables to the tow truck should. They are only good to 6,000 pounds and are designed to snap when the semis collide, so the tow trucks never reach the end of their tether.
Close enough.
All right, Jamie, I have the cable hooked up to the truck. Ready when you are.
Bang on cue, some geese swan across the runway.
Hey, there's a family of geese. You sure we want to pull it right now? We might kill them. All right, they are out of the way of the cable. Over.
Ready, Tito? Ready. All right.
Everything looks good, Jamie. Over.
Looks good. Seems to be working.
34,000 pounds of truck, no driver. And there goes the tow rope. We've got ourselves a runaway. Runaway.
Cable's coming this way.
Can we keep
Right now.
Just get down if you can. Yeah. How do we stop this thing?
That's a very good question, with no answer.
Get your car out of the way, Dad! Get out of the car!
I don't see the cable.
Eventually, the psycho semi comes to rest.
Rolled to a stop. The truck is rolled to a stop, and we're fine. I pictured all of us getting sliced in half.
Dude, what are we doing?
doing? We're gonna crash 2 big trucks.
Well, beautiful. I had no idea what your plan was for stopping it.
Yeah, there wasn't really a plan.
All we're doing is running from this. I see the truck rolling that way, and I know there's a cable between us and the other one, and we're just like, now there's a trip hazard. I'm just picturing all of us like,
Oh, there was one moment where I'm setting up this truck over here, and I look, 3,000 feet down the road, and I see the other truck lined up, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're about to smash 2 big trucks together. It all came to me.
It's not a bad way to end the week.
No, it's a good thing. This is gonna be good.
And it's only Wednesday.
It may not have looked it at home, but that's what the MythBusters call a successful test.
We just did a test pull of our truck to see if it would steer straight, and it did. It did beautifully. In fact, once it was off of its tow line, it actually started to veer way off direction. Luckily, it rolled to a stop behind me here in this field of grass, but man, the sound the cable was making was astonishing. It was like...
In this case, we saw what we wanted. We narrowly had a little bit of a disaster as far as automobiles getting crunched by a runaway semi-trailer truck, but, details.
At an Alameda film set, the MythBusters are planning a pileup. They're testing the myth that a compact car smashed between 2 trucks could be squashed so small that it becomes hidden in the wreckage.
So there's heavy-duty cable on either side of us. We've got semi-trucks, a small car. What was your plan for not having us all get killed during this collision?
The plan is that we've got these trucks out at either end. They're being pulled by cables. The cables go through a pulley that's right underneath this little car. The tow trucks are pulling the cables out at right angles to this setup, and so if everything's done right, the trucks will meet right in the middle, right on top of the car.
But the key aspect really is the timing of pulling these trucks towards the compact. If one of them hits a second before the other, the whole experiment might be invalidated.
So basically we have one shot and everything has to go absolutely perfect.
Only one shot.
Great.
With failure more than an option, they decide on a test run to see if the tow trucks can stay neck and neck for the length of the 1,500-foot track.
All right, we're good to go.
So, start your engines for a high-speed, synchronized tow truck test. Grant and Tori are the co-drivers.
20 miles an hour. You're looking good, you're looking good. A little slower, a little slower. 30 miles an hour.
This is gonna be so cool. Don't you wish you were here?
45 miles an hour. Going up, faster, faster, faster.
This is one race where the aim is a photo finish.
We almost made it up to 50 miles an hour.
I don't see them rolling over end to end yet. They just made the turn. Just like clockwork.
The trucks reached an acceptable 45 miles per hour, but they weren't quite neck and neck, which has Adam worried.
We only have one shot at this crash, so if they don't tighten it up, it means that one truck's gonna hit the car a millisecond or two before the other truck hits the car. Ideally, they both hit the car at the same time. And I think our test will still be valid if they're off by 3 or 4 feet, but like I said, ideally we want both impacts to occur at precisely the same moment. How'd you feel about that from this end?
That's pretty exciting being between these two things as they take off.
Jamie doing his best Natalie Wood. Go!
Yeah, no, it looked good to me. I mean, it's unfortunate we're not able to get quite the speed we want, but it's still going to be a heck of an impact.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. I can't wait.
There's just one finishing touch.
Okay.
Buster's crash test buddies take their hot seats.
Should we put our seatbelt on? Yeah.
They seem understandably reticent about the whole deal.
Oh wait, shoulder's stuck on the gear shift. Okay. Good. Okay, he's in. He's safe.
2 semi-trailers face each other across 3,000 feet of hot tarmac. On the tow road, the tow trucks rev their engines. In the middle of it all, the tiny compact prepares to meet its maker. Take your seats for the head-on from hell.
I am in the chase car about to follow one of these empty trucks of doom towards its final end, and I'm totally psyched. This is probably the best view to see this from. I can't wait.
The anticipation is all too much for me. I need a drink.
I got another vodka myth here, one that is very strange, and I've never heard it before, but you can make vodka into mouthwash. All you need is about a cup of vodka, 9 tablespoons of cinnamon. You seal it up in an airtight container for 2 weeks, and it's supposed to come out mouthwash. All you gotta do is strain out all of the cinnamon, and you'll have fresh, clean breath.
To test it out, Carrie needs a Mythbuster who needs help with halitosis.
You might get mad at me, but Adam's got some rank breath sometimes. I don't know if he knows.
Oh, he knows, because Carrie told him during an outtake in a previous myth.
Like,
No, I can't.
yeah, you can. See?
But your breath is really bad.
Sorry.
And you've heard of the expression dog's breath. In a previous episode, Adam went head-to-head with Lulu, the myth-busting pooch, in an oral hygiene test. The result? Adam was the dirty dog.
So no French kissing dogs, I think, is our conclusion here.
Well, I would be more inclined to say no French kissing Adam.
You know, I don't eat my own poo.
Adam's clearly in need of help.
That's my breath, baby.
So, can a homemade high-octane mouthwash do the trick?
And this is the plastic bottle brand vodka. Always the finest for Mythbusters.
1 cup of gut rot, then the cinnamon to create a kind of mud slushy.
So far, this is not looking much like mouthwash. In fact, it looks like another experiment we've done with Adam. You let this sit for 2 weeks, and then we'll filter it through a white coffee filter, and then we should have some mouthwash.
Okay, so try not to drink this for 2 weeks.
It'll be hard to restrain myself.
God, man, that just looks so good.
Right, it's been 2 weeks for my vodka mouthwash, and all the cinnamon is totally solidified at the bottom of the flask. It's a nice brown liquid. I don't know if I'd use that for mouthwash, but it's time to filter it. Vodka mouthwash, commercial mouthwash. Now all I need is my subject with nasty breath. Who could I get?
What is that horrible, horrible smell?
To ensure Adam's breath is truly rank, Carrie's got a couple of treats in store.
I mean, is it even legal to sell cheese that looks like this? Oh. I have for you cigarettes, manky garlic,
Oh, it burned.
and the piece de la résistance.
Some sticky foot cheese.
Woo! You know what? My eyes are watering being in the vicinity of these 3 items. I think I need an official tester. So while you continue chewing, Grant Imahara, I need your nose.
Dead man walking. Vodka's odorless, but can you mix it with cinnamon to take away bad breath? To test the myth, Adam has poisoned his palate with runny cheese, fresh garlic, and cigarettes. Grant has drawn the short straw.
And I'm gonna need you to smell it before and after. Go away, cleanse your nose, and then come do the second test for the second mouthwash. Are you ready for the challenge?
I'm ready.
First, the before test.
Not that bad. Definitely the worst breath I've ever smelled, but if I were to give it a breath scale, it wasn't actually that unpleasant. Maybe a 7. I'll call that a 7.
To give you a yardstick, a camel scores 6. So, can the MythBusters mouthwash freshen up the breath of death?
Okay, first we're going to administer the vodka mouthwash. Don't forget to gargle.
That burns.
It's killing all the bad breath odor.
It's killing something. How do they look? Okay, you ready?
Okay, Grant, brace yourself.
Yeah, cinnamony, actually. Kind of like, you know, cinnamon toast. Actually quite pleasant. And give us another... Ooh, you know, I did sense a little something on the finish there.
Grant the Nose Imahara is becoming quite the connoisseur.
Coming out initially, very nice, you know, maybe a 1, really.
Wow.
But the finish was definitely a little smoky, so that's gonna make it like a 3.
7 to 3, that's definitely an improvement.
Oh, absolutely, from liquid death to cinnamon toast.
Okay, let's go ahead in the back room while we bring out the cheese again, and I'll reload. Garlic, reloading. Stinky foot cheese, reloading. Huh. Can I go home?
When Adam's smelling like a French farmer's moldy sock, the Nose returns for test number 2.
Paging Dr. Imahara to the white courtesy telephone. Okay, you ready?
Okay, hit me. Yeah.
Same as before?
It's about a 7, yeah.
So it's a level playing field. Now, can the commercial mouthwash outscore the vodka?
That burns too, just a little bit.
Okay. You know, interestingly enough, I get the same cigarette finish on this.
You just can't wipe away the cigarette stank.
But other than that, you know, same pleasant mouth sweetening ability.
So it's about a 3. It's about the same as the vodka mouthwash.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Personally, I prefer the commercial mouthwash simply because, really, probably solely because I'm acclimatized to that minty taste. You know, it's toothpaste, it's the mouthwash I use at home. I mean, it's very similar. So I prefer that, but for all the look of rusty water of the cinnamon vodka mouthwash, it wasn't that bad.
I'd have to say that that's myth confirmed. It actually worked.
All right, good. Can I go now?
Yes.
Okay, all cameras rolling. We're good up here. Grant and Tori, start ahead. Over.
Back at Alameda, it's showtime. The MythBusters are all set to pancake a compact between 2 semi-trailers. 2 tow trucks will pull the semis, but can they stay neck and neck? And will the semis fuse together and crush the compact between them?
Okay, ready? Go!
There's no burning rubber in this start. With almost 80,000 pounds of truck under tow, the power must be squeezed on slowly.
All right, we're at 10 miles an hour.
As the pace increases, friction overheats the pulleys.
35 miles an hour.
Then one tow truck falls behind. It must make up ground or be late for impact.
You guys need to pick up.
800 feet and closing. Then, disaster.
The second truck is out of control, I believe. Over.
Oh, shoot. Oh, no. Oh, no! Oh!
The other truck hurtles on, unstoppable.
There goes a car.
Oh, God!
Well, at least it worked kind of like a good brake.
Well, we lost control of one of the trucks, and the other one hit the back of the car.
The force of impact swept the car over 200 yards along the runway. On first impressions, this myth looks mangled.
Ooh. Look at that.
Whoa.
It bent the rod.
Oh, that's smoking. I don't know. This is going to be tough to fix and reset. It's already half pulled out of the ground.
Wow.
What I saw was that the second tow truck was lagging behind the first one, and he was trying to catch up, and I noticed that there was some serious jerking going on. So I figure that the second truck rope just broke.
We dragged our cable all the way there, so our breakaway rope didn't fail.
Well, something did. The question is what? And can it be fixed for another bite at the cherry?
The car's still more or less intact.
Well, the back end is pretty crushed in, but yeah.
Intact must be MythBusters for total write-off. And in plain English, the truck's steering rack is screwed. But Adam's thinking that all is not lost.
We'll have to remake the guide bar. However we have to do it.
Though badly damaged, the compact is more of an omelet than a pancake. And it's in good enough shape for another smash. Just. So, how about the second truck?
That's good. It's all still intact. Perfect. I think that's good. That's real good. What failed is what I want to know. Look how short the cable is.
I have no idea what would have caused that.
The tow cable is sheared just 5 feet from its end.
It's 20,000 some odd pound test cable.
I think the jerking as we were trying to catch up to the other guy, a higher
You know
load.
what could have happened with the jerking is that this truck could have accelerated too fast and rolled over its own cable.
Now it's all hands on deck to get everything shipshape for one more shot at the compact.
Some delicate fine tuning.
They calculate that to get a second shot, they must reset in under 2 hours.
We're good here.
Sweet.
Jamie, we're tied in on this cable. Over.
Okie dokie.
Alrighty then.
Now we just have to go to the tow truck.
Look at the amazing strength of Jamie Heineman.
And 90 minutes later...
Yeah, here we are again. I hope you enjoyed that little sequence of failure, because we're about to try it again.
So, we got one more shot. You guys do what you have to do to stay together and to do it as smoothly as possible without jerking, because that's what kind of got us.
If there's an abort situation, are you gonna call it out on the radio, or are we just gonna?
There is no abort.
Okay.
Once you guys go, you just go. You did the right thing the last time. You just keep going.
Take a small European car and 2 semi-trailers. Add 5 MythBusters, and you should get one heck of a crash. But will you get a compact? The tow trucks are on the grid.
All right, radio check, Grant. And stand by, and Grant's ready.
The countdown starts now. 3, 2, 1, go.
Both semis pull away slow and smooth.
And, okay, you're looking good, you're looking good. A little slower.
The tow trucks jockey to stay neck and neck.
It's looking better. It's looking better this time.
Almost 80,000 pounds of truck close at a combined speed of 70 miles per hour. Is this bye-bye Buster?
Oh my God, it's gonna work.
wasn't quite right, but I don't think we can reset.
It's one almighty smash, but no pancake. The compact got spat out sideways.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm a little sad because it didn't work perfectly. It looks like we're gonna have to revisit this one. But wow!
I want to see this pulley.
The biggest ever smash on MythBusters, and he wants to see the pulley.
That was some serious friction.
He's like, I've had enough. I'm getting out.
No! God, that was crazy! Oh, that was ridiculous!
No, you gotta get the close-up view.
What are you guys yelling about? They're not fused. I don't see any fused together. Right?
That is a beautiful thing. That was crazy.
Did you really think you were gonna confirm the myth?
We actually answered a lot of questions about it. I mean, look at them. They're not fused together. They're not welded together. They're not inseparable. They're easy to pull apart. And I don't care how fast they were going or how hard they would have hit this thing. This car would not have disappeared between these two engines.
Yeah, this is just like a lot of shrapnel. There's no like solid chunk of fused together impact of any sort.
Yeah.
And the heart of this myth really is whether they could be welded together.
Yeah.
Because the car is irrelevant. If
Yeah.
these cannot weld together from the force and the heat, it's just not going to happen.
Which we knew already, but it was fun.
Nothing like a bit of wanton annihilation to brighten up the day. Let's check on the carnage.
I think we're gonna need the jaws of life.
All three crash test dummies have certainly earned their corn.
Okay, we lost a calf there.
Yeah, Buster's all screwed up.
For Buster, it's just another day at the office.
He broke his bones, didn't he?
Well, there's a little fixing that needs to be done.
Buster's busted again. But what about the myth?
It didn't exactly go 100% as I would have hoped, but I think a lot of questions were answered, and there's some interesting results. Our compact car, the front wheel and the rear wheel of this car are almost touching. I mean, it's pretty compact. It's been made into a pretty small package. I still don't think that you'd lose this between these two trucks. But it does go to show that even at like 35 miles per hour, how much force we're actually dealing with.
We had a successful run. I think the test is valid. It could have been a little bit more square on. It could have been a little faster. But you know, I pretty much think that what we saw happen would be what would happen in any circumstance like this, out at any speed on any highway.
So myth busted, confirmed, or plausible? What are you voting?
Just like the trucks.
It's busted.
It's busted.
Busted.
Boy, is it busted.
Some nice toggles. I'm saving those.
Dude, you're salvaging in the middle of the...
Of a rescue operation. Why else do you think I got into this line of work?
Yeah.
Any survivors?
Yeah, he's missing a leg, but he's good.
Just throw a tourniquet on that. He'll be fine.